Spring practice, James. Let's start with you because you've been through the grind. What was spring practice like? I know you didn't look forward to it. Maybe partially looked forward to it. And maybe how has it changed?
My freshman year, that first spring, I was like, yes, I want to get out here. I want to be able to compete. Then you get the job, and then you're just like, this is just like, you got freshmen that don't know what they're doing, that are messing up stuff. And I had my sophomore year, I had labrum surgery, so I missed the entire spring. And then my junior year, I already knew I was starting. I mean, my junior going into my senior year, I already knew I was starting to have the job. So like, it was just like, all right, let's get these 15 practices out the way. It's actually, for us, it was a break because mat drills was so bad, like that we looked forward to spring ball. And so that was kind of the thing that solidified and separated it for us. And then it's really, you get tired of hitting the same people. But for these guys now, everything is still new. So this is basically spring ball all over again. You hope that the world doesn't shut down again after this week, because then it'd be deja vu all over again. Because you only got 2 days of shorts last time, and you had to basically – people basically made a lot of assumptions off of 2 days of shorts until you got to fall camp. This would be the first time that everybody was complaining about and clamoring about, your coaches get 15, really 4 weeks to be able to look at you and say, hey, this guy can do what I need him to do and what's necessary. So all the way up until you get your basically your kindergarten graduation or your recital, which is the spring game. Like the spring, people, I get it. It's the coaches would never say this. They'll never say this, and media would never admit this, even though a lot of them have been covering this for a long time. Nobody knows anything from a spring game. If you took the spring game for you to decide a job, you did a poor job of coaching. The jobs are decided within the earlier weeks of practice that none of us really get a chance to go see. I'm going to try to see if I can't pull that former player card and go like look at one, but I'm also not pressed. But it should be good. It's just good to get guys moving. I know they're all looking forward to this because they didn't have this last year, so this is the newness.
Yep, we're finally here, Mark. We finally got to get to talk about actually practices happening. I'm all for it. I know there's a lot of things, a lot of answers that need to be figured out, and they're not going to be figured out this spring. Fall camp will give it us, but we'll get a hint at a few players, some early enrollees, the youngins coming in, the transfers from different universities, and obviously Mackenzie Milton. How actual healthy is he? We've heard that he's 100% good to go. Norvell talked about in the opening press conference to start off the spring that they're going to let him loose. So there's a lot of question marks heading into this spring. Florida State last year didn't have a spring to work with. Mike Norvell was doing most of these meetings on Zooms, probably not as good as they could have been whenever you're being face-to-face with your players. But this is a second kind of go-around of, you're doing your COVID-19 testing. I don't know how strict that is right now and what they're doing, but you're actually set on a schedule now, which Florida State didn't have last year.
Mackenzie Milton's a quarterback. So when they say we're going to cut him loose, he's with everybody else, we're letting him go, but there's still conditions on that. Of course, he's a quarterback. They're not going to hit him.
Right. Yeah, that, and then they're not even going to stress him. If they do, it's just foolish. Like, but then again, like a lot of that stuff we won't get to see, and it'll be limited release things, like video that they did basically in fall camp that everybody will get repackaged and make it look like their own or whatever. Because again, media is only really allowed the first 10, 15, basically the warm up drills for the most part of practice, and none of that really shows you anything. But you saw a clip of him basically doing the basic drop back, pat the ball, throw, pat and goes is what they call it. And he looked. It didn't look bad, but some things that were released by these players, which I get why they want to do it, but if I'm one of the coaches, I'm personally going to say, hey, could you please stop screen capturing our 7-on-7 drills and our things? We know you're excited to let people see what you're doing, but right now we got to keep some of this stuff a secret, because while it might make you look good, It does. It creates way more questions than it does answers. So Jerry and I think it was Jerry. No, not Jerry and Jones. Maybe it was
Jarian
Jerry
had
and
it.
Jones.
Yeah. Jarian
It
had
was
his
Jerry and
interception
Jones.
out there. That I yeah.
No,
Hey, I
it
get the
wasn't an
content though.
interception. I
They got
love the
to.
content.
They got to quit it. They got to give it to me. Hey, if they're gonna give it to somebody, give it to me, and I'll put it out there for them. But yeah, I think they should not. I think they should kind of
Right.
relax on maybe posting on their stories so much.
But it was a kid who put out. It wasn't an interception. It was just coverage. It was really good coverage. And what I saw from it, what I saw from it, it was good coverage. But what I saw from it was a water pistol. So basically, we're trying to throw an out route, and I say water pistol because when you're throwing that out route, that ball's got to be on the zip. You got to be actually. It's funny because I got a 7-year-old that thinks he's a quarterback because he's been playing Madden. So I'm teaching him about how to throw routes and how it's supposed to be, and that's really one of those routes where that ball got to have zip on it, especially when your guy gets a break between you and the sideline. Because if it's not, then that DB is going to be able to jump to get an interception. And when I'm watching it, I'm like, I would have left that off. I get what he was trying to show, but I would have left that off. So, but then I think JJ, the new DN from Georgia, had a great win in one-on-one pass rush. The problem is he made our tackle look so bad that it's just again it's the you got all that from a 2-second clip that we had a few weeks ago. Like it's basically you're accidentally doing that, but it's the first day of practice. But it's all good. It's the excitement is really, really dope. And I think the excitement with Mackenzie Milton will give enough coverage and content for people for this entire spring.
You know, James, when only 10 or 15% are minutes of the initial practice is open to the media, then we compare that to what the access is to NFL training camps where they let thousands of fans in, you watch the whole thing. Like, what, having covered the NFL now versus what you experienced in college and covering the college game as well, what is the philosophy there in the NFL that we're going to hold our sessions and let everybody watch them?
Well, the NFL is like every session is not live for the public and for the fans.
Sure,
and,
but a lot.
And we've had that the last 4 years. Matter of fact, the first 2 practices last year were open to the public. I remember they encouraged a lot of the coaches to come out, and you saw a lot of people come. But then, like I said, the world shut down. So Mike will probably, if they allow, it's really more so the university policy right now. But there are practices in the NFL where let me rephrase that. Media, we always get access. Like we always get access, but we're even then we'll be relegated to a certain part of the field. So like when they really, really want to do some stuff that they don't want us to see, they'll go to field 3. And we're sitting there, and unless you got like that iPhone 75 with the hyper zoom, like you're not being able to see that very well. And then they have practices where they close. Bobby used to do that. Bobby, because man, now the practice field is so much different than it was when I played. But
they don't have the oak tree. They don't got the oak tree out there.
They don't have the oak tree. There was a little piece of slab right in front of the outdoor training room that the media could stand on. And like you could see field 1. If you were deep down on field 2, you couldn't see anything. Field 3, they couldn't see a darn thing. And I remember those guys would be roped in, and they would just a lot of the guys that everybody knows now, like Ira, Chris Nee, a lot of what's .com's name? Anyways, whatever.
Gene.
They will all be right there roped in and couldn't see anything. But it's NFL too. It's 32 teams. Like I hate to be long with it, but like once you put that stuff on film, like they know what you're gonna do. They're breaking down every aspect of everything in the NFL. In college, not so much because you don't have the everybody doesn't have the personnel to be able to do it. Right now, you want Notre Dame to be questionable about Mackenzie Milton and Jordan Travis. If you're going in there and a fan goes in and sees Mackenzie look like the 2-second clip from the fifth quarter drill, whatever the hell they call it, Tour Madness, Tour Duty. That's what it's called, right? Tour Duty.
Mm-hmm.
and without any context to it, again, that's the problem is there's no context to it. So like if it's late in practice, it's a hot day, or it's a super cold day because that's what happens in spring in Tallahassee. It could be 85 degrees or it could be 55 degrees, which is Florida cold. And
Super cold.
His knee is stiff. He couldn't get out the blocks that day. It looked like he got gum on his shoe, and now everybody's like, all right, well, we ain't worried about him. You don't want to see setbacks. I think that's the real rationale behind it.
I was having a good old time a few minutes ago, right before the show, taking a little hike in 55-degree weather.
Nice. It's not too bad. It's nice and what is it? It's
blue skies. Beautiful.
Yeah.
A little crisp, but not too bad for early March in Connecticut.